What isn't music to my ears is Brad Arthur. He has been
Mm.
let go by the Parramatta Eels. I tell you what we'll do is we'll just get some audio from Brad Arthur. We'll talk about that, and then we'll go talk about potential coaches after.
Results are important. That's what the business is driven by, and that the results weren't good enough at present. I'm sure the boys can turn it around, and I'll be watching keenly to hopefully that they do turn it around. And but like I said, I've thoroughly enjoyed my time, and I'm so grateful for the life it's presented for me and my family over the last 11 years. And I've learnt so much.
There he is, Brad Arthur, mate. I just want to say before you give your opinion on it, Smithy, Brad Arthur has handled himself with such class, and there's so much you can learn and appreciate from a guy in an incredibly, sad position in his life in regards to he loves the
Yeah.
club. He's been there
Yeah.
forever, and to immediately, within hours of basically being told he's sacked, to say he's grateful. He is grateful for the life that he has. I just want to give massive credit and respect to Brad Arthur. I think he's handled it with such class. It's just been so impressive.
Yeah, good on BA. He actually gave that an interview the morning after. So he was asked to come into the meeting at 3 p.m. I think it was, Kempy, and the morning after he did a live interview on Channel 9 and just said, look, I'm actually grateful for the opportunity that the Parramatta Footy Club gave me. Like the last 10 or 11 years have been the best 10 or 11 years of my life. I've been able to make a lot of friendships with the players that I've coached. We've done some wonderful things as a footy club. We played in a grand final, got to see his son debut in the NRL as well. So that would have been a highlight of his life to see one of his children get to play in the NRL. It was a dream of his young fellas to do that. So and it was it was everything about that footy club. He just praised them, didn't he?
Mm.
I think a lot of times you could forgive coaches for being sacked, to be bitter and upset and frustrated and annoyed and all that sort of stuff. But no, he was very grateful and pretty much praised the Parramatta Football Club for the opportunity that they gave him in the first place to be their coach and for everything that club and rugby league in general has given him and his family.
Mate, it was all class. And because I think what makes it even more all class is there was genuine stuff he could have said. He could have said, maybe wait till the end of the year. I've been here for 11 years.
Yeah.
He could have said my key players of Moses and Gutho are out. There's other questions. Me being quite involved in the game and tracking everything from recruitment to retention to everything at the Para Eels, I do think there is a case for their recruitment board or whoever that needs to be answered. I don't think they've handled that grand final success anywhere near well enough. So there's plenty of areas you can point at that say that Brad Arthur didn't get the best support that he possibly could have. Now, that doesn't mean that he should have continued to have his job. But what I'm saying is there are things you could have pointed to and said, you know what, that's a fair point. But he didn't even go near that. He just said,
No.
I'm grateful. I love the club. And I think it sets him up really well for future head coaching roles. And I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him in the NRL within the next 12 to 24 months.
Yeah, well, we know how quickly things can change, right, in the NRL, in rugby league, and particularly with head coaches. All that has to happen is they fall out of form, and all of a sudden the head coach is under enormous pressure to hold his or her job, But you can understand from a club point of view. He's been coached there now for a decade, played in one grand final, played in several final series, but they come out and said that the results weren't good enough. We're chasing wins and we just haven't seen enough over the past period that we're moving forward or making any progress. So I think they've chosen to bite the bullet now and just go, look, we're going to cut ties. And we're going to look to the future, and who knows who that's going to be. Like there's already been several names tossed up to take over this role. We know Trent Barrett's going to see out the remainder of this year as an interim coach, but can it be him? Can Trent Barrett stay on as head coach? Will it be someone else coming in from outside of the football club? I know one of the representatives of Parramatta Eels have been quite vocal about how hard they chased Wayne Bennett and missing out. They spoke about how they met with Wayne on several occasions and spoke at length about what they thought they could do as a football club with him as coach, and tried to sort of make his mind up to come and join the Eels, but unfortunately they didn't get him. We know now that South have got him for 3 years, so they go back to the drawing board now and try to find the right person to take over as head coach to progress this club forward. Like they've got I feel they've got a good enough list at the moment, certainly to be doing a lot better than what they are managing to do right now.
Yeah, it does make it quite strange, the timing of this, given the fact that they didn't land Wayne Bennett. It seems a bit strange to go, you know what? We don't have a coach in mind. There's no real person screaming, putting their name up. To get rid of him now before he gets key players back. Now, don't get me wrong, I do understand the decision. I've never been, the last few years when Brad Arthur was under pressure, I've been like, that's nonsense. Like, that's insanity. This is a guy that's taken this team from a spoon. But I do feel this year the results did warrant his coaching to be under question. But I do, the timing of this is strange. And the only thing I can think of is if they've done it now, just in case he did turn things around. Because if let's say they didn't get rid of him. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do, mate. I do.
If Moses and Gutho come back and they turn it around, how do you sack him?
No, they can't.
They can't. And so I think they've made that decision, but it's a risky decision because, we've got some audio now, which we'll get to in a second, but there really isn't anyone screaming with their hand up that you say is ready to take over a club right now as big as the Para Eels. Here is what the Para Eels said in regards to chasing Wayne Bennett.
Well, we weren't happy, but I think it was important for everyone to know the process we went through, and I wanted people to have transparency. What I didn't want was a public debate about what we should have done or what we shouldn't have done. I wanted everybody to understand what we actually did. We wanted Wayne Bennett. It's as simple as that. And we spent the best part of 3 weeks trying to convince him to come. Ultimately, he made it clear to us that he had some unfinished business at the Rabbitohs. That's where he felt comfortable, and that's the direction he was heading. So,
did you feel close to getting Wayne Bennett?
Close is, I wouldn't say close. He was interested. Right? We put our proposition to him, and he was genuinely interested. But I think he felt strongly about his connection with the Rabbitohs, and ultimately that's where he's decided to go.
What do you reckon, Smithy, about that? I guess them basically saying that they wanted Wayne Bennett.
Yeah, well, I think that was the worst kept secret in rugby league, wasn't it? That Parramatta Eels wanting Wayne Bennett, and why wouldn't you? Like they're a team that are clearly struggling at the moment to find form. They're clearly struggling to find the best, or to try and get the best out of the players in the list that they have at the moment, even though they do have a lot of quality players in their squad. And I think Wayne Bennett's the perfect person to do that. Just have a look at what he's done with the Dolphins over the past season and a half. He's got a list there that a lot of people sort of had many question marks over and saying, well, how's this team going to be competitive? Just have a look what they've done in the space of a season and a half. So there's qualities about him, and we might touch on this a little bit later in the show. But I heard Cody Walker talking about his time with Wayne Bennett, and now that the news is broken that he is confirmed to go back to the Rabbitohs, that it's really hard to describe the effect that he does have on players, right? Unless you're in the day-to-day sort of workings with Wayne Bennett, it's hard to sort of put into words and to describe exactly how he gets the best out of people. But he has that quality. He's done it for his entire career. Wherever he's gone to, he's pretty much had great results and made positive improvements to the people around him. So you sort of, you can't blame Parramatta for going after him. And it sounds like they went after him real hard. But they just couldn't convince him that was the right place for him to go. And as was mentioned, he told Parramatta that he feels like he's got some unfinished business at the Rabbitohs, and that's the reason he went there.
Yeah, look, I'm going to be super nitpicky here. And look, the chairman of the Para Eels has much more business experience than me. I was just like, just pretend. I appreciate his honesty, but I was like, okay, the next coach coming in now knows that like Wayne Bennett was who you wanted, and also like publicly facing, just say that you guys did have a chat, but you both didn't meet where you thought you would. I feel like, again, I'm being super nitpicky, but I was like, to be like Parramatta. I guess from my perspective, I'm looking at it from a Parramatta. If you're putting the brand of Para first, you're saying, Wayne should be honoured to come here. That's how highly we think of our own, brand. So look, again, I'm being nitpicky, but I was a bit surprised that he just openly said, "Yep, we wanted Wayne."
Mate, you know what? I loved it, mate.
Yeah, okay.
I actually loved it. I was like, mate, good on you for like coming out and saying, hey, look, our number one man, our number one target was Wayne Bennett, but unfortunately we missed out. It's like, I think anyone that gets this job right, like they can't feel too bad about going, well, look, I wasn't the first pick. I was the second. Like, I don't think many coaches out there looking for a head coaching role I don't think they'd be too upset being second fiddle to Wayne Bennett. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's like let's say there's a team out there chasing a halfback, right? And they go, oh look, our number one target is Nathan Cleary, but we missed out, and you go there as their second choice. I don't think players would be too concerned about that, surely.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think I'm talking from a holistic perspective. I know what you're saying. Like, it's Wayne Bennett. Of course, they were talking to him. I just think from a business perspective of taking the approach that, we had a chat to him, but we just couldn't agree on terms or something like that. It puts you in a much stronger position brand-wise than we approached Wayne.
Gotcha.
He brushed us.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, any coach coming in, unless it's like Bellamy, Robinson, or no one really has the chops to go, oh, I'm a bit offended that you went for Wayne Bennett.
Before me.
And so, look, I'm with you in regards to, I appreciate his honesty. I do appreciate the honesty for sure.
Yeah.
I was a bit surprised from a branding perspective, but that's just me, my business hat on. Now, in regards to who they can get, Smithy, who do you reckon's a front runner? Because as I said, I don't really think when you line up contracts and where certain people are, there isn't really anyone banging the door down.
No. Well, a few of the names that have been tossed up, right? It's the same old group of names. So Michael Maguire, but I don't think he's not going to coach there. He's coaching New South Wales now. I know it's like explain to us what the situation is with New South Wales Rugby League there, mate. It's like a part-time contract.
Okay,
is that right?
Apparently, it's a part-time contract.
Weird.
But I mean, I tell you what, if they call Michael Maguire outside of those part-time hours and he goes, sorry, this is a part-time gig, I highly doubt they'll cop that.
How many part-time years are in the term of the contract?
So 2 years, but he's really working just for one.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay. Yeah, no, it's really weird that. But anyway, so he's locked out for 2 years, right? So he's not going to Para for the next couple. So you can put a line through his name, unless he gives up the New South Wales job, which I don't think he'd do. Right? That's a job that a lot of people would love to have. So I don't think he's going to give that up, and he's committed to it now. So he's going to be. We know he's going to be coaching in the State of Origin series, which is just around the corner. So he'll want to go there and make a difference. They've lost the last two New South Wales, so he'll want to make a difference. I think he'll commit himself to New South Wales Rugby League for the next couple. So we won't see him back in clubland for at least a couple of seasons. Jason Riles is one.
I think he's a perfect person.
That comes to mind. So remembering right, he was offered the job at the Dragons, right?
Yeah.
And instead of taking that job, he chose to go to Melbourne, back to Melbourne Storm as an assistant. He was currently at the Roosters as an assistant, and I think he was thinking, well, this is going to be Bellamy's last season. We've since learnt over the last fortnight that Bellamy's going to coach on for another year into 2025. He just keeps coaching. It's just another. Mate. It's a Wayne Bennett.
Seriously.
2.0.
Oh mate, they're the best.
So maybe Jason Riles is now contacted by Parramatta and sort of sought out and asked the question, like, is this something that you'd like to do? I don't know. Like there's many guys out there that have started their apprenticeship as assistant coaches. They're like Josh Henne's one at the Sharks at the moment, who's doing a great job. He's an assistant coach with the Queensland Maroons, and I know Billy Slater's got a huge rap on Josh Henne. and his ability as a coach. So much so, like he relies heavily on his work within the team and putting a lot of structure around the way that the Queensland team plays their football. And it's the reason why he's got him in camp with him, because he's very good at the day-to-day clubland stuff.
Yeah, okay.
So I think he'd be certainly someone ready to go. Justin Holbrook, who's just moved from the Gold Coast Titans, who's now a reserve grade coach at the Roosters with Trent Robinson. He's another guy as well. So, look, there's guys out there. There's guys out there that would love to be a head coach of an NRL side. It's just whether they fit the mould that the Parramatta Eels are after.
Yeah, it's. I think Riles is a man for the job. I think that the problem with Justin Holbrook, and look, I'm sure their coaching styles are a little bit different, but he does seem like a similar-ish coach to Brad Arthur, where it is a very player first. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure he's a tough coach, but I guess the concern at the Titans when he was there was was he tough enough on the players? And I guess you could argue with Brad Arthur, was he tough enough on the players to get to that next step? I don't know but that was the question that was asked. Whereas I think Riles, as I assume, would be quite a different coach, having been obviously in the Melbourne Storm system, the Roosters system. I personally would be definitely calling Riles first, but it's going to be interesting. I mean, Trent Barrett, he's the assistant coach. He's now the interim coach. Me personally, I think that he's had 2 opportunities as a head coach. I probably wouldn't go down that route.